Welcome to Agent Tactics. We are ready to roll here. I am excited because we have Will Draper, who obviously is a fan favorite, been a huge member of the TF group as a coach, and I would go on a limb and say he was probably the most requested coach. A lot of his clients have found major success from Instagram, YouTube, to every social media. We partnered up. We have a YouTube course that's now available to be live. But what I wanted to bring Will on today was talk about lead generation on social media. I'm going to turn it over to him and let him take over. I've already allowed him opportunity to share screen, and we get to go through his new blueprint. So I'm excited. Will Draper, good to see you, man.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. That's quite the introduction today, man.
I'm on a roll today.
All right. When Jeremy asked me to come on this week, I've been thinking a lot and talking to a lot of people the past few weeks, and I had a conversation with one of my private coaching clients the other day, and she started questioning everything she was doing because there's so much information out there in the world, right? Like social media is busier than ever before. There's more content on there than ever before. There's more audio podcasts, there's more video podcasts, there's more Jesus Jesus Christ, there is so many online events that you can attend to. There's so much information overload out there. I feel like people will get stuck in that analysis paralysis, right? And I think that's a common mistake that most real estate agents have, and most anybody that's an entrepreneur. So let me know in the chat, right? Drop a one in there if you feel like sometimes you are analysis paralysis when it comes to adding social media as a lead source and as a brand builder for you. Yeah, seeing a bunch of ones in there, right?
Sorry to cut
And
you off real quick.
yeah,
There is a link that I put in the chat there. So if you want all the playbooks from before that we've done, if you want to join the mailing list, that's that Flow Desk link right there. I have all the playbooks, all the past YouTube videos, everything on there linked up. So this is where we will be sending out the replay of this. Is you have to be signed up on this. So make sure you sign up. Will, go ahead.
okay. Um, and so there's just so much overload of information. Everybody gets stuck in analysis paralysis, and it's like everybody's always chasing, right? You're always chasing, always playing catch up. You're in a reactive state instead of a proactive state. And I was reading an article the other day. So I'm a big time home brewer, which means I brew a lot of my own beer at my house. Like I have a mini brewery in my garage. I have a keg and a bar set up. And I was reading an industry magazine the other day, and they were talking about a pretty famous brand in the craft beer landscape, and how they've been able to buck all of the trends because so many breweries are trend chasing. Who drop a two in the chat if you have heard the word hazy IPA, and like a brewery that throws out this flavor and that flavor, and this one tastes like mangoes, and this one tastes like Fruit Loops, and this one tastes like Lucky Charms, and like all of this BS, right? And they're throwing spaghetti at a wall, is what this article said. Is all these breweries are throwing spaghetti at a wall and just seeing what sticks and trying all this new stuff. Well, there's this brand out of Maine called Maine Beer Company. They have plain labels. They make like four beers, and they have just like four core beers that they make, and then they put out there, and it is a premium product. They only put it in 16.9 ounce, like heavy duty glass brown beer bottles. If you go to the store or you go to a brewery, don't you see a 4 pack of 16-ounce cans? That's like what everybody does, right? Yeah, that's what everybody does now. You go to the store, it's nothing but like cans, can. They're the only company that puts their beer in this particular type of bottle, and they only sell singles. They don't sell 4 packs, they don't sell 6 packs, they don't sell any of that type of crap. They're like, we're going to stick to this one thing. This is our lane, and it bucks the trend. And they charge $6 to $8 a single beer at the store, a single one, when you can buy a 4 pack of this other stuff for anywhere from 12 to 20, depending on, who made it, how many hops are in it, all that type of stuff. And so what they did is they bucked the trend of trying to make 40 different types of beer. They bucked the trend of trying to do what everybody else does and put it in these like super highly graphic like cans, and try to sell the artwork versus what's inside. And they just focus on the quality of what they make, and they only make a few small amount of products, and they focus on making that as good as they can, and they stay in their lane. And because of that, they're one of the well-known and respected brands in the craft beer landscape. Most real estate agents get caught in this crowd where they're making hazy IPA, juicy IPA, milkshake IPA, and throwing all of this spaghetti at a wall and nothing's sticking. And you're going in circles, and then you just keep trying all this new stuff, right? Well, when I see people having that problem, I was like, there's got to be a better way to solve that and help condense all of this information that's out there and condense it down into a few key principles, which if you follow these 4 key principles, you will be successful on social by creating your own personal brand and generating leads for your business. Now, I haven't really named this process in the past, but I remember Sharon said something recently about you got to name everything, right? And I've been teaching this blueprint to a lot of the clients I work with one-on-one, and it's so apropos. I get a text message right before I get in here, and this is somebody, we've had one call together where we went through just the basic of this framework. And she was like, oh my God, I just got my first call from a reel I did about blah, blah, blah that we talked about from Instagram. This is somebody who had no clue what she was doing for a while. She has had her most quote unquote locally viral reel, and we'll talk more about viral here later. And she got her first, somebody booked an appointment on Calendly to have a phone call with her, right? I got a message yesterday for someone who was like, oh my God, I just started this process and I've already picked up 2 clients, a buyer and a seller. Okay. Now, what I'm going to go through, this is my 4C social media blueprint for lead generation. Okay. The first C in this is clients. Okay. We have to identify who we're working with. And where I think most people go wrong is they don't go into detail enough. And there's really only 2 types of people in this world and 2 types of people in your business. There's people that you know and there's people that you don't know. There is no other category. You either know them or you don't know them. Okay? So you need to ask yourself, who are these people? Where do they live? Where do they work? What's their family situation? Where are they moving to or want to live? What neighborhood is that in? What house type is that? How much is that house? How are they going to pay for it? What's their lifestyle like? What do they care about? What's most important to them? What are they interested in? What you're doing here is you're building a profile. You're building a profile around this person, and this makes figuring out what the next C in this framework is so much easier. So let me give you an example, right? Not knowingly, I went through this process myself 5 or 6 years ago when I really started making a lot of content and leaning into building an attraction-based business. And I had to identify, like, who are these people I actually want to work with? And most people are like, who do you want to work with? They'll say, first-time buyers. That's not enough information. Or they'll say, I want people selling a house and buying another house. That is such a broad thing. Or anybody relocating to my area. That's also a wrong answer. You need to go ultra specific. So I'll give you my personal example. Is I wanted to work with people who already lived in the suburb that I live in. So I live in a suburb outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. My suburb at the time had about 45,000 people. It's approaching 60,000 people now. I was like, all right, they have to live in the suburb that I'm already in. They are a married family. They have a couple kids. Their kids are anywhere from a year old to somewhere in middle school. The husband probably works over in RTP or works remotely. RTP is like a big research triangle place, which means they are high income earners. They're going to be making between $200,000 and $400,000 as income as a family for single family. And they already own a house and they want to upgrade to their next house. They're likely want to do new construction, but new construction is limited based on the schools that they want to be in. And there's really only 2 elementary and middle schools that these families want to be zoned for. They also love spending time outside. They love going to breweries, and they're always looking for things to do with their kids. Raise your hand if you have built an ideal client profile that detailed. Anybody? No. Right? One, I got one hand that's like this, right? I saw somebody do this. So kind of, right? So when you go into that level of detail, that is going to open up exactly what content to make and how you're going to talk to these people. Okay? Because the problem most people make is the content they make is way too broad. Okay? So the more detailed you get on your client, the clearer everything else is going to be. Building this profile, and I highly recommend all of the questions that I just went through, you need to ask yourself and you need to write it down. Okay. This is also great information to have to insert into ChatGPT later, because that can help you build out some of your content. But knowing all this very specific information is going to be super important for the next C. Okay. So that was C number one. That's clients. C number two is content.
By the way, if you did not download the ChatGPT course that we did a playbook on it. The ChatGPT was by far the most downloaded book that I've had. I gave exactly what he did to my VA, and my VA created immediately 30 posts that are now going out on Google Business, and they all are fantastic. So I'll put that in a link in a minute, but go ahead. Sorry. I'm just going to keep cutting you off because I love you, man. So sorry.
Yeah, that's good. You're all good, man. You're all good. And yeah, hey, by the way, as I'm going through it, I don't have any slides to share. I just wanted to talk to you today, like one-on-one. And like, if you have a question, like do like the hand raising question thing, and like Jeremy monitor that. If you guys have questions as I'm going through this and you want more detail, more specifics, just have general question, I'm happy to like stop and answer questions as I go. I hate the thing where people are like, don't ask anything till the end. Well, if you got a burning question, just freaking ask the question. Cool. We good with that? All right. So the next C is content. And I have a big esoteric question that I want you to sit on just for a second. I'm going to ask it, and then I don't want you to blurt out anything. Don't go with the first thing that comes to your mind. Just, I want you to sit for about 30 seconds in silence, right? Going after, we just talked about clients, right? And everything you need to think about when you're building out a client profile, right? And we haven't talked about content. Yeah, we haven't talked about what we're making, and we haven't even really said social media, right? It's because we're focused on who we're working with first. So here's the big question. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? And I literally, I'm going to stop talking, and I want you guys to think about that for like 30 seconds. What do you want to be known for? Think about it. In your business, when people say, hey, that's Bill Olson, this is everything about Bill Olson, or this is Jeremy Knight, or this is the big man. Like, what's the first thought that's going to come to their head? If the first thought that comes to their head is like, oh, they're a real estate agent, you're not known for anything. Oh, they're a realtor, you're not known for anything. You have to decide what you want to be known for. And that's the big esoteric question of content, right? So the next part of that is, you're not going to have the answer for that right now, but you might have it by the end of the next like 5 to 10 minutes. So how findable are you? If somebody was going to look up you, one, you have to be known for something, and two, how findable are you? Which means every profile you have online needs to be optimized, and they need to match. Are you the same person on Instagram as you are YouTube, as you are LinkedIn, as you are if you're on TikTok or Snapchat or Facebook? Are you the same person? If I go to each one, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's the same person. Like, that's the same vibe, right? I don't care if your profile picture is the same. That's stupid. But is it the same vibe? Are you saying you do the same things? Is your tone the same? Who are you on each one of those platforms? And do they match across that, right? And then, like, what's your vibe? Like, what's your style, right? How findable are you? And what do you want to be known for? So early on in my career, I knew I didn't want to just be a stuffy agent. I used to have really long hair down to my waist, and it was kind of dready. Yeah, 40-year-old white guy with dreads. I mean, I was like prototypical, one of those guys that goes to App State University. If you know anything about North Carolina, it's like the hippie school. And yes, I went to school there. But when I got into real estate, I cut my hair. I feel like I lost a little bit of my soul, right? Because I was like, oh, that's what I have to be. And then like 6 months in, I was like, I can't be this guy. Like, that's just not me. And so my tagline on everything I did for a while was like, realtor and a good dude. My email tagline, my social media, it said, what was my job? Realtor and a good dude. Realtor and a good dude. It was in my email, even submitting offers for people and reaching out to clients for the first time. And then that just became like my persona. And then my clients loved it. And like, when I would look at my like online reviews after be working with them, like, he is such a good dude. And that's all I wanted to be known as, was a good dude, right? Because there's so many so many douchebags and assholes in this business, right? Right. I don't think any of them are on this call, right? But there's a lot of those people in this business. So it's like, that's what I want my vibe and style to be, right? Like, I'm going to be skateboarding as I'm doing my content. I'm going to wear tank tops and show off my tattoos, right? I'm going to be in Birkenstocks when I go meet with clients. It's like, that's my vibe and that's my style. You have to decide who that is for you. And that is part of your content strategy, is who you are. Like, Jeremy is now part of the Real Luxury Group, right, Jeremy? You just joined that up, and
Yeah.
you got new headshots, right? It looks
Yeah.
like you're a luxury agent and you make sourdough bread now, right?
I did that because Ray Allen always does those like funny like shots where he's like reading something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
book was
I
literally
know.
on their thing. I'm like, we have to do this.
Yeah, no, that was great. No, but think about it. Like, some of your content recently, like go into the Porsche track and like some of the stuff you're showing off and the houses you're showing off. And like it's starting to say, okay, I associate Jeremy with luxury now, even though it's just over the past, 6 weeks that I've seen this shift that Jeremy's made of doing more of that style of content. Now I'm starting to associate, okay, YouTube and luxury with Jeremy. So what do you want to be known for? Like those things are the top two things that come to my head right now, because that's what he is portraying in his content, right? And then as you're developing your content strategy, right, you have to decide what content you're making, right? Like what's the style? Are you going to do short versus long stuff? Is it going to be more professional and high end? Is it going to be edgy and funny? What's the mix? Okay. Now, the question I get all the time is, what's really working right now with content strategy? And big shocker, video is king. Right? Video is king. There's a lot of services out there that are great, that are like, hey, here's all these pretty Canva templates to make these pretty swipe files and these pretty posts. Guess what? That shit doesn't work. It makes you feel good, right? But it doesn't actually attract a lot of business. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, hey, everything looks good. And the people that will tell you it looks good are other agents. You don't have a lot of clients like, oh yeah, your social looks great. Like everything's working. Shocker, video is king. Okay. You need to ask, do you have a calling card, right? Like, what do you want to know before? What's your calling card? What do people know you for? And what's really working is a lot of short B-roll style video with on-screen text, longer informational videos, home tours and neighborhood tours. So as you're building your content strategy, you need to have a mix of this. And we'll talk more about what this mix looks like and how that all fits into the overall piece in the next section of this. Right. But like what I mean, go ahead.
Sorry. So one thing I want to point out. So I did a one of these with Ksenia out of Tampa Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and her style on Instagram is, she says, "Hey, this is what you get for whatever in this area," and then does a walkthrough tour and does a voiceover on it. My TF coach is Christy Jinks. Christy Jinks took the playbook we created, and I'll put it in the link for you. Took that playbook and gave it to one of her agents. They watched the video I did with her. That agent had over 400,000 views and 7 clients from one video.
Yeah. And it's that goes back to like, what's your calling card, right? I was coaching with a client for a while, and we found one particular style of home tour video that was easy for him to create, that was very popular. And we worked together for quite a while. And once we landed upon this style, I was like, you should just stick with this and not do anything else. Just roll with this one thing. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, none of your other content was working. I was like, this first video got some good legs. I would lean into it and just do more of that. And that's where I think a lot of people go wrong too. But back to his story. So he leaned into it. 6 months later, I can say that he gets a lead per day on social. He has 2 extra closings per month from this one style that we came up with. And he sells on average, his properties are about $1 million a piece. So he's added about $24 million to his bottom line in his business this year. The prior year before doing this type of style, he would sell about 24 million a year anyway. So he doubled his business just by going all in and say, okay, this is my style. This is my calling card. This is how everybody knows me. Now agents are reaching out to him. Hey, come do this at my property. And newsflash, there's no fancy equipment. There's no gimbal. It's just his phone. but he found the style, and we had some audio and some visual cues. And if you've ever taken my how to make a home tour video course, you'll see exactly how to do it. I tell you how to do everything in there. Super easy and straightforward. But
Can you show us that content?
yeah. Tell you what, let me do it at the end. Let me do it at the end. Because
Okay, I'm gonna
what
put
I'll
a note
do is
in
after I
here.
go through all of this, I want to show you some people I've worked with, what they're doing, and what it's done for their business. So let me do it at the
Perfect.
end. Is that cool?
Perfect. All right, good.
Okay. So that style is working. A lot of short B-roll style stuff is working. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do it. I'll show you some examples of what's working for some of my clients again at the end to just kind of get your wheels spinning. But what makes a lot of these videos work, right? And I'll break down that list again, right? So short B-roll video with text on screen, like a hidden area neighborhood you need to know about. If I wanted to live on the water in this area, this is the neighborhood I would check out. That is the text that's on the screen on the front, right? Longer informational videos about neighborhoods and home tours. Those are the ones that are actually resonating with people, okay? But what makes them work? It's one
I can
thing.
tell you the long form ones like that, they don't get as many views, but that's what like people look at the views on my YouTube channel and go, oh, look at these videos, these are they're big bangers or whatever. The videos that get maybe 1,000 views are the ones that make me the most money.
Correct. And I'm going to bring that up in the next section. I'm going to tell you exactly how that breaks down. So relevancy with all of your content, right? And here's some quick tips to write down. Here's like 5 quick tips. Your cover image on your video, no matter what platform that you're on, whether it's a thumbnail on YouTube or a cover image on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is, it has to have your geographic location. Austin, Atlanta, Charleston, Miami, Jacksonville, whatever it is, you have to have that on the front. The cover image also has to say what the video is about. You want your profiles and you want your content to be able to be like chapters in a book. Because when people discover something, when you make what I call top of funnel content, which I'll talk about here in a minute, as you make that top of funnel content and they discover you, they're going to decide they want to follow you within 2.5 seconds. So when they go to your profile, is it clearly readable? They're like, hey, I definitely want to follow this person because they say, okay, yes, this is for me. Everything on here says Austin. Everything on here says Atlanta. Oh, yep, these are all of my interests. Boom, follow. Right? So every cover image must have your location and what the video is about. Don't try to get cute. Okay. Your caption has to include lots of SEO rich keywords. Always have your geographic location in your beefy caption as many times as possible. And this is future planning, right? This next part is future planning. You need to optimize for voice search because as time goes on, we are going to be voice search more and more and more. People are going to be typing in things less and be voice searching more. So even when they go to Google or SIRI or ALEXA, I don't want to say their names out loud because they'll both start talking to me and they're listening all the time anyway. So they already know I'm saying it because I know how to spell my name, asshole. Like I know you're talking to me. How do people ask questions? Those are your hooks now. How do real people ask questions? And those become the hooks for your videos. And then Adam Mosseri came out earlier this week or maybe late last week, and he said the number one thing Instagram is looking for right now is shareability. How shareable is your video? Shareability is the new best ability of your content. What is going to make someone want to share this with another? And if it comes to housing, they're probably sharing it with a spouse, right? Like the stuff my wife shares particular stuff with me. It's like funny stuff dads do. And my daughter always shared the same stuff with me. It's all about like making cookies or cakes because our thing is like cooking together, right? So she always shares that content, right? So think about what can you make and how can you make it more shareable? And everything you do needs to encourage more sharing and more comments. Engagement is absolutely key. Just like Jeremy said, you could have 100,000 views on a video, but if nobody comments or shares, it's not going to do anything. You could have 500 views on a video, but if you start getting comments on it, you start getting sharing, then you start seeing stuff that works. Okay. So that's content, right? That's the second C you need to think about. And the third is calendar. Okay. So client, content, right? So client, you should have an ideal profile by now. Content, there's all of these different things that are working. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the last C. And then I'll show you some content that's working for a lot of people. Now it's calendar. So How many days per week are you committed to actually putting out content? If you have a YouTube channel, most people are putting out at bare minimum, what, 1 video a week? The goal is to get to 2 videos a week. Okay. So for your social media, what are you doing? My baseline example for you is 3 videos a week and 3 stories per day. This is your baseline content. You can intermix listings and proof of success and all of that type of stuff, how we did it. But your baseline content should always be 3 videos. Notice I didn't say carousels. I didn't say images. 3 videos per week that speak directly to your ideal client and fall directly into the type of content you want to be known for. 3, that is your baseline. If you're like, I can only do 2, I was like, okay, that's great. You want to accelerate your success by 30%, add 1 more video. It is a proven statistic. I can even share my own journey. For the 6 months leading up to July of this year, I posted every day, Monday through Friday, with a feed post. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to run an experiment. The first week of July, I'm not going to post anything. I'm going on vacation. I planned ahead, but I decided to hold the content. I was like, let me see how much my reach changes. And then when I come back the next week, I'm just going to post 3 times. Let me see how much that changes when I come back. My reach decreased by like 500%. Because part of calendar is consistency. The more consistent you are, the more it's going to show it to more people. And if you stop and slow down, it's so hard to pick back up. It's just like working out. If you're working out and going to the gym 3 times a week, and then you miss a day, and then you miss a second day, and then you miss a third day, how hard is it to get back into that routine of 3 times a week? Like, I work out 6 times a week. And even when I go on vacation now, I do something because I realize if I take that off, it's so hard to get back into it because I'm sore and I don't want to do it. And I'm tired of getting up at 5:30 in the morning and go into the gym. The consistency with your calendar, with your baseline content. You have to have the baseline content. And the only way you can do this and not feel like you're caught in a hamster wheel of doing your content is use a scheduling platform such as Metricool. So there's Metricool and Loomly and Social Pilot and all this other crap. Metricool is my new favorite one. It allows you to cross-post to every platform that you're associated with. And most people say, but doesn't it hurt your reach if you like schedule your posts? It does not hurt your reach if you schedule your posts with another platform, especially Metricool. So absolutely do that. And your whole goal with your calendar and your consistency is to have a month of video done ahead of time. And you're like, oh my God, I can't do that. It's just 12 short videos. It's less than 12 minutes worth of content. If you can't make 12 minutes worth of content and make the time in your schedule to get that done and schedule that ahead of time, then we need to look at your time blocking. Getting that done ahead of time allows you to spend more time in your stories. It allows you to spend more time in your comments and allows you to spend more time engaging with other people, which is so, so, so important. And when you're trying to batch create this content 1 month ahead of time, making content within each bucket that you create, each content pillar, each content bucket you create 1 at a time is way, way, way more efficient. I'll give you an example. I did a series a month or so ago where I had a whiteboard and I was writing stuff on the whiteboard and I was tearing pieces of paper off the whiteboard and revealing the next item down. I shot 4 of those in a row. And then I went on, I had B-roll style videos. Then I shot all 4 B-roll style videos in a row. Then I had talking head videos. Then I did all my talking head videos in a row. The reason you want to batch create similar pieces of content at the same time is because it's way more efficient. You don't have to get set up again. You don't have to change your mindset because the different types of content you create, you have to be in a different mindset. So imagine if you're doing one of these B-roll style videos that's only 5 seconds that have on-screen text. If you have a catalog of B-roll content that you can snag to, you can make multiple pieces of content, pre-schedule it on that calendar, move things around. You have a content calendar. It makes it super, super easy. Every person in here can do that, right? So with your calendar, you have to figure out what your baseline is, and it should be 3 videos a week, 3 stories a day, consistently, and have it done a month ahead of time. Your stories are going to be done on the fly, but your actual baseline content needs to be done every day. And that consistency is what leads you to the 4th C, which is conversion. Okay. Your content, whether you believe it or not, is a funnel. We've all heard about lead funnels, right? Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. You need to start looking at your content like it's a funnel. Your top of funnel stuff are these B-roll style reels that get more reach. They attract more followers. Like Jeremy said a minute ago, his videos that were longer, that had the least amount of views, usually brought the most business. You know why? Because they already entered his top of funnel with more broad content. So one of your content buckets, so circling back to the second C, one of your content buckets needs to be something that is more broad for your client base. These B-roll style reels that are 5 to 10 seconds will get more reach and more followers. They need to talk to your ideal client, and they need to be part of your baseline content, and they need to be scheduled on your calendar at least once per week. That is your top of funnel stuff. That is the stuff that's super easy to create, and it is targeted towards the audience that you're trying to reach. That's your top of funnel. You're just trying to get people in your atmosphere, right? So imagine Earth, right? We have the Earth, we have the sky, and then we have these different layers of the atmosphere, right? When we're doing these B-roll style reels, it's like sending a rocket up through the atmosphere, and then it is attracting people in outer space, and they're coming into your atmosphere. They're not wanting to work with you yet. They're just aware of who you are. They're like, oh, okay. I came across this reel. I like this reel. I look at their profile. Now, is your profile optimized so they know who you are, what you do, who you work for, and what type of content you make? And when they look down at your feed, are they going to be like, oh, yeah, everything that says up here matches what I see down here. I'm going to follow them. That's step one. That's your top of funnel content. Your middle of funnel content is that longer content where you're actually nurturing your followers that you already have. There's less strangers there. Top of funnel content is all about attracting strangers. Okay. Now, once those strangers enter your funnel and enter you as a follower, right? As you create that longer form content where you're actually on camera more, where you're talking about neighborhoods and houses and doing these home tours and neighborhood tours, or your favorite place to get tacos in this place, or the best place to take your kids hiking and whatever this place is, or the best camping spots here, like whatever your ideal client's interested in, that's the middle of funnel content. That's the content people are going to watch longer than 5 seconds. They're going to start watching for 10, 15, 20, 25 seconds. Now your views will go down, right? Top of funnel content, it's going to get more views, probably going to get more shares. Your middle of funnel content, it's the longer content where you're actually in the content more. It's going to get less views, but it should have more engagement. And then the bottom of funnel content are your stories. Now, your stories are where the conversion actually happens. And when you're doing your stories, you're looking for hand raisers. You're looking for interest. You're not looking for a sale. And that's another place I feel like agents go wrong, is they're always looking for the sale. You're not looking for a sale on the platform. You're looking for somebody to know you, top of funnel content, like you, middle of funnel, more engaged content, and trust you. I'm going to reach out to you via one of your stories. Okay. As you do this and as you build your content, you have to have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content. So easily digestible, broad content that's going to have more reach, content that is going to nurture people and have more in-depth information. So instead of a looping reel that says, hey, check out these 5 neighborhoods, this one becomes a neighborhood tour or a house tour. And then that bottom of funnel content is your stories. It's the behind the scenes stuff of you and your everyday life. Okay. And there's only 3 ways to go from here to here and convert that to leads. It's direct messages, lead magnets, and story polls. So direct messages. These are the hardest type of lead to convert on the platform. And then there's cold versus warm. I highly recommend doing the warm. And you're like, okay, what do I do with direct messages? You should make a habit every single day, no matter what platform it's on, typically, Instagram or Facebook, but direct messages. Go into your stories, look through your stories of people that you know. Try to comment on 10 stories because that starts a direct message conversation. If you need to start with 5, start with 5. But see what they're up to and have a meaningful conversation with somebody that is not real estate related, right? That starts the process of a conversation, right? And then that's a tide riser. The more you do that, the more they actually see your content and your stories, okay? The second thing you do, go look at the last piece of content you put out. See who liked the content. You're like, I only got 9 likes. Guess what? There's 9 people you can start a direct message conversation with and said, hey, thanks so much for liking my video about this. Super easy to start with, just thanking them. If they respond back, then you can start to have a conversation. You don't have to ask a question, right? But you can just thank them for, hey, thank you so much for doing my content. Is there any other type of content you would like to see, right? Would you like to see more houses here? Would you like to see more neighborhoods? Start to have that. People don't know who to reach out to. It's easy. Who pops up in your story feed, and then who's liked the content, the last piece that you put out, okay? Then there's lead magnets. Everyone should have a lead magnet. If you don't have a lead magnet and you're on social media and you're trying to generate leads, you're doing it wrong. So you have to decide what lead magnet is right for you. And that goes back to who are you working with and what do you want to be known for? One of the best lead magnets that you can put together is a neighborhood or a relocation guide, because most people have no clue about the neighborhoods or the locations the house that they want to see on Zillow is in. If Homes.com is spending $1 billion marketing to the general public that they have all of the local information, they know all about the schools and the pizza places and the parks, real estate agents should pay attention. They're spending $1 billion on, we know more about the neighborhoods. So they don't have a neighborhood guide, but you can go to their website and click around. Hello, you can go steal their information and make your own neighborhood guide. Okay, find somebody on Fiverr and build a neighborhood guide and have a call to action in your captions, in your content that is consistent. Now, I do say consistent. You should have one call to action you are known for. I was working with a client. He's 25 now. We started working together when he was 22. And at this point, I think he's going to close 200 houses this year, all from Instagram, right? He has one call to action. Text the word home to this number to get started. It is the last line on every post that he makes. He says it in some of his videos. It is on his captions. It's in his email. It's everywhere. So that's his call to action. And it's a singular call to action because it's repetitive, right? They don't have to question how to reach out to them. What I see a lot of people do is, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, you have a link tree. Then you have 50 links on there. If we get an analysis paralysis with what content to create, what do you think the general public does when they see that? There's too many options. It's like going to, who knows what the Cheesecake Factory is? Raise your hand. Anybody know what the Cheesecake Factory is? You go to the Cheesecake Factory, that menu is like a flipping book. Like, I feel like I'm reading like the Odyssey, right? Like it's so big and so long. You get stuck in analysis paralysis and you just order whatever the waitress says to order, right? You want to give people no more than 3 options, like in your link tree, but ideally just one. Like, have this one call to action. What do you want to be known for? Like, what are you giving them? Is it to book a call, right? Is it to download a relocation guide? Is it to download a neighborhood guide? Because guess what? Nobody has neighborhood guides. Nobody in your markets are doing that. Nobody is. And then there's story polls. You've got to do more story polls, 2 to 3 per week. And what are story polls? So story polls are sharing stories and then asking a question via one of the sticker options on either Instagram or Facebook. And there's 2 types of questions you can ask. One is for pure engagement, and then one is more real estate related. I typically recommend that you have 24 to 48 hours of no stories, and then you share a story with a story poll that is an engagement story poll. That's easy. It could be something like, you shared where you ate for lunch that day, and like, have you been here? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you like it? Something simple like that. And you're like, well, that has nothing to do with real estate. It's about getting engagement on it. It's easy. People don't have to think about it. They can just click a button. You wait 48 hours, then you post a story up there. Let's say you had a listing appointment. Take a screenshot of a map, throw that up as your graphic in your story, and say, hey, just had a listing appointment here the other day, and they said, yes, we're going to get this house on the market in 2 weeks. Here's a few quick stats. Do you want all the details before it hits the MLS? Yes, no. Anybody there is a hand raiser. If they're asking for the details, hello, they've entered your bottom of funnel because they raised their hand and they are now a lead. Okay. Anybody that comments on your reels asking for your lead magnet is now a lead. It's the same thing as them going to Facebook and clicking on one of those lead ad forms like, hey, I want to download this guide, or I want a list of this types of homes. Which brings me to another one. A lead magnet could be just a list of homes. One of my clients, what we decided to do was, there's no real good information. I don't know how it is in your markets, but like new construction. There's no list of like all of the new construction neighborhoods and builder incentives and all of that anywhere. There's no one source of information for that. So what we had him do was compile all that. He built relationships with all of these builders and say, okay, I'm going to check in once a week and see what your latest incentives and deals are and what your inventory is. He worked a lot with the on-site agents, built a spreadsheet of all of this information. And his lead magnet is, hey, if you want the latest and greatest builder incentives and deals and where you can save the most money, comment new construction and I'll send you over the list. One of his stories, he got 57 responses of people signing up to be emailed that list. And right now he has 18 houses under contract. 18 at any given time. He's also 24. And all he does on his Instagram, he knew exactly who his client was. They live in this location. They have this much money. They're buying this type of house. They are probably a first-time home buyer. They want new construction, right? They are unmarried because they're buying their first house together. And it's within these 10 neighborhoods. So all of his content is around just that, right? And then he was like, all right, I'm going to post 4 times per week. That's my consistency with my calendar. And I was like, what content? And he was going to do all about the neighborhoods and the houses. So it's all of the information about what his ideal client wants, because that's what they're looking for. And then he built his calendar. Everything is pre-scheduled. It's consistent. His baseline content is 4 pieces every single week. And he's sharing 3 stories a day behind the scenes working with people. And he does 2 stories per week that are trying to get people in this lead magnet list, sending them that email. And once they do that, then he has the ability to then start warm direct messaging them after they sign up for the email. Because as people make those comments, you drop into their DMs, they sign up for a link. Every person in your DMs that has ever asked for a lead magnet, that has ever responded to one of your stories, they are now a lead, and you should add them to either a spreadsheet or your CRM. You're not going to have a lot of information in there, but that allows you to know, okay, they became a lead on this date. All right, I'm going to follow up with them in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and start to ask those same qualifying questions you would ask if somebody called you from Zillow or Realtor.com. So if they ask for your lead magnet on new construction, the logical next direct message to them is, hey, did you get the list? I sent it over yesterday. Okay, great. Hey, curious, what's your favorite neighborhood? Okay, what price point are you looking at? Just start your qualifying questions. And guess what? If you send 8 direct messages and they don't respond, keep sending. Same thing as phone calls. Most people give it like, I sent them a message and they didn't reply back. Well, you keep sending them to them. People are busy. You don't know how often they are in their direct message, but keep it up and keep track of it inside of your CRM, just like you would any other lead. And that, I think, is the key to actually doing conversion on social media. Is you all generate leads. People, it's easy to generate leads, but the follow-up and the follow-through with that lead is where most people drop the ball. Add them to your CRM or a spreadsheet. I don't care if you use a spreadsheet or a CRM, either one, but just know the consistency that you're following up with them. Okay. So, Jeremy, you asked earlier about seeing some examples of some of this content that's working in the style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my desktop. And
while you do that, I'm going to ask if you have questions that you want to ask, start popping them in now. And as he starts going through, I'll start asking the questions and getting them answered. I feel like the last 45 minutes has been just information overload. So just as a reminder, we do email this out on Monday. Secondly, I put my YouTube channel that all these videos go to, so you can watch the old ones. We will post it on Monday in there as well, and send out the email. So, but keep those questions in there, especially you, Bill Olson. I know you have a lot of questions.
Okay. So this is Sam. What I want to start with, right, is he has his name, he has where he works and what he is. He doesn't say entrepreneur because he's a real estate agent. If you have entrepreneur here and you're a real estate agent, please change it. Yes, you're an entrepreneur, but if people are searching for an agent, you'll show up more if you have that right there. What does he do? He shows off the best of Boston real estate. This is who he works for. Here's his call to action. DM Boston to start your move. Guess what DM he gets every single day? The word Boston. That's how he tracks his leads. He gets 1 lead every single day and converts 2 clients every single month in the short term, not even the long term. His typical, I want you to look, I'm just going to click on Reels. I want you to look at the view counts on these. 486,000, 52,000, 38,000, 32,000, 470,000, 111,000, 82,000. What is in every thumbnail? These are all locations. Back Bay is a location in Boston. South End is a location in Boston, right? So what is it? Where is it? Right? Let's take a look at what one of these looks like. I think I have the audio on, and look at the engagement. 838, a lot of comments. Now let's listen.
This incredible Back Bay condo. This is 412 Beacon Street, Unit 3, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, asking $3,325,000. Step right into your home from your direct elevator access. This main living space is an entertainer's dream, filled with incredible historic detail, tall 12-foot ceilings, and a fireplace. This first room here would be the perfect library or home office. All the details throughout, the built-in storage, the curved ceiling with all the moldings. I mean, how often do you get a space like this in a home in the city? The 2 main bedrooms both have these massive original pocket doors to close them off from the living space. By the way, this home includes 1 off-street parking spot, and I'm going to assume I don't really need to pitch how incredible this location is. You guys know. Step this way into the primary suite, which includes this beautiful ensuite bathroom, and just check out this shower. If you're a Celtics player watching this, yes, you'd fit just fine. The bedroom overlooks Beacon Street below, gets great sunlight, and has built-in closets all along the back wall for storage. Back out this way, you get your kitchen, which is very simple, very minimalist kitchen. You have your laundry through the back here, and then tucked hidden in the wall is additional pantry storage. Ever wanted to feel like the president and have your own oval office? This formal living room is a full oval with both curved windows at the back and curved doors in the front. Pretty cool space. And finally, walking out this way, you'll get your own exclusive deck to enjoy the sunshine when we have it.
That's it. Now,
That's very similar to what Ksenia did.
Yeah.
What I love about this, Will, is that you said this guy doesn't even use a gimbal, right?
you even saw it when he was getting on the elevator, the mirror across
Just his
it.
hand.
He's just holding his iPhone like this. That's why you see it bouncing, right? He's like, I can't even use a gimbal. He tried and it looked terrible. I was like, all right, just hold your phone and walk through it. That's
Yeah,
it.
I've done
take.
the same. In fact, Raj Sahu, at one of my YouTube videos, I literally, when I was doing my property tours, it was literally, he's like, dude, I could see you're just holding the camera. I'm like, yeah, why? Like, these things have such good stabilization. So let's talk about the equipment involved in this. You're talking about an iPhone camera. You're
Mhm.
talking about, he probably used CapCut
Yep.
to edit it, and probably a microphone for the voiceover.
Correct. That's
So
it.
we're talking maybe $100 for the microphone.
Correct.
If
That's
that.
all. And the CapCut subscription was the free version.
Yeah.
That's it.
All this takes, like, so here's the hard part of this, right? The hard part is getting out and going to a listing. That's the
Mhm.
hardest part of all of this.
That is the hardest part of all of it, and like asking for permission. But what he did, he started off with one of his listings. And this is what I tell most people. Start off with your listing. You're like, well, I don't have any listings. Go to your office. I guarantee you somebody has a listing in your office. Say, hey, I want to do this. I'll give you all the credit for being the listing agent on here. You have to get out of your comfort zone and do that. Guess what? He didn't want to do that either. He got shot down 9 times out of 10 asking for this in the beginning. Then when people started noticing, oh, you're getting all these views. Now he's been invited into quote unquote the inner circle of the top producing agents in his area in masterminds that they do because they want to pick his brain. These are all people that are selling over $100 million a year. And this is before he started getting actual real business from this because they started taking notice. So people are now reaching out to him. Hey, Sam, come do this. Hey, Sam, come do this. And he's gotten to do some very high-end properties because of it, but it's the consistency. And I want to share 2 quick things about consistency and back to the calendar.
Chase said, go to open houses. How simple is that? Just spend your Saturday and pull up all the open houses. Now you have 6 or 7 homes shot in just an hour, 2-hour afternoon.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So he was doing 1 a week. He was like, that's what I can do. Okay. And he was like, it's going good. Do you think I should do more? I was like, you'd be an idiot not to. If something's working, double down on it. Guess what? His views and his leads doubled. Weird. He did twice as much and he got twice as much results from it. I want to share a story of a client I used to work with. His name is Elio. We started working together. He had like 2,500 followers on Instagram. His content wasn't that great. 6 months into the business. Does that sound like a familiar story to a lot of people? Right? You know, no real direction. And we're like, all right, we identified his ideal client, right? We identified the type of people we want to work with. We built content around that. We made a consistent content calendar where he posts 3 times per week. And then because he's starting a new account, we're like, all right, let's run some ads behind it too. So we did $10 a day behind his content for an entire year. By the end of the year, we had that one singular call to action as well. He had closed 60 transactions because he generated all of these leads on social media, doing the exact stuff that I just walked you guys through the framework. Now, you don't get all the details and stuff because we don't have like 3 weeks worth of time to go through all the details of what we did. But at the end of that first year, he's like, this is amazing. Like, I'm in a different place in my life. Like, what do I do next year to double my business? And I was like, I don't think you're going to believe me when I tell you. And he was like, well, what do I do? I was like, how did you get all the business? He goes, well, I made this content and we put out 3 videos a week and I ran ads for $10 a day. I was like, okay, you're either going to double your videos or you're going to double your ad spend. And he's like, what? He's like, that's it. I'm like, yeah, pick one. He's like, I'd rather spend the money. I can't make 6 videos a week. I was like, cool. All right. Run ads for $20 a day. Year number 2, he sold 120 houses, all from Instagram, all from the same content. We repurpose a lot of his content. Every 3 months, we just recycled the same stuff. Change up the thumbnail, change up the music. It's the same video. Okay. At the end of that year, he was like, how do I double my business? I was like, you already know the answer. He was like, double my ad spend? I was like, uh-huh. Would you guys like to sell 120 houses for $7,500 in marketing expenses? Yeah. He's on track to close 225 houses this year. He now has a team of 4 showing assistants, not buyer's agents, showing assistants who get paid to show property. They're not the actual buyer agent. His name's on all the contracts.
Let me ask you a question. So for all of us dummies, myself, that have never paid for an ad on anything, haven't paid on YouTube in probably 4 years. So I don't even know how to set up an ad. How do you set up an ad and run a successful ad campaign on, let's just say, Instagram on this platform?
Okay. One thing you need to know now is that if you try to run an ad from your mobile device and you have an iPhone, Apple will charge you a 30% surcharge.
Ooh.
Do not try. Quiet. Sorry, that's my dog was laying at my feet and now he hears noises outside and he's barking. So I apologize. Apple. So 30% surcharge. So go to your desktop, even when you log into like Instagram or Facebook or the Meta ads platform on your desktop, it'll say, hey, don't do it on your iPhone because it'll charge you 30%. You want to know how complicated it is to run these ads? Just click the boost button. That's it. So we went as simple as possible. We were like, we're just going for all right reach. You can't get under 15 miles, right? You don't want any more than 15 miles, right? When you really looked at it on a map, who's going to be, raise your hand if you serve more than 15 miles outside of like where you're located, right? Not one person. Okay. Not a ton of people do, right? So find what that right is for you. And you're just going to be boosting the post and you let it boost to anybody because it's top of funnel content. All you're trying to do is get exposed to many people as possible. You're not looking for leads. Hear me say that again. You're not looking for leads when you run ads on social media. If you're running lead form ads on Facebook, people are like, hey, get this guide. And, you get a lead, and then nobody wants you to call them, right? I can generate 100 leads for $7 a lead. Like you see people advertise that all the time. That's great. But then you have 100 people you have to call and nobody wants to talk to you, get hung up on. It's not fun, right? But if you want to build an attraction-based business and you want to jumpstart your content journey and you've got 1,000 followers, and you're like, how do I get to 10,000 fast? And you'll see all these gurus that say, well, you make this content, it'll just work. Probably not. There's so much noise out there now. If you want to give yourself a boost your content. Don't get cute trying to say, all right, I'm going to target people between 35 and 55 to make this much. Don't try to get cute. You want as many people to see it as possible, because what you're trying to do is be very top of funnel. You just want people to be aware of who you are. And then once they become followers and aware of who you are, then they get to that middle of funnel content, which is the longer stuff that you're doing on Instagram or Facebook. And they're like, all right, I kind of like this person. And then as you start doing your stories, that's where all the sales happen. And it's the same way for him. People see all the content, but it's the stories that they reply to. 75% of his leads come from his stories. But it's that one singular call to action. It could be a lead magnet, or it could be just DM or text you a word. So if you're going to run ads, do it on your desktop. Let me show an example of something even easier to do that generated 8 leads for one of my clients. So this is simple. This video right here, a neighborhood in North Miami you need to know about. This is all this video is. There's music, but I have the music like muted because the music doesn't matter. She's not saying anything. It is just 3-second clips of this one neighborhood, right? But it's been seen by 15,000 people over the past week. And all she's doing is writing a very SEO-rich caption about what this area is. Comment homes, and I'll send a list to your DMs for everything that's available in this particular neighborhood, right? And all of these are leads throughout here. She was the person that texted me before here and said booked her first phone consultation. Done. This was her
That's
first
so
one
hard
like
to
this.
do.
It's so easy to do. Like you, and here's the thing, right? That's super easy to do. You can do the same neighborhood 5 different ways. Instead of a neighborhood in North Miami you need to know about, you know, the only neighborhood where you can find a condo under $500,000 in Miami. That's another way to do it. Just think about every one of these titles, right? That you see the on screen for the B-roll stuff. They should be like a subject line for an email, right? Or like a YouTube title. Like you have to have the name in there, but like there's 3 or 4 different ways you can write that, right? This is the best kept secret neighborhood in North Miami. That's another way you can do it. Nobody who sees this will remember this video next week. So every video like that you do, here's the secret. Every video like that you do, and I feel like this idea is not stole directly from this person, but he inspired it, whether he knows it or not, and he actually doesn't know it. If you know Stephen Kim, right? Stephen Kim out of Canada, he said something 3 or 4 years ago that stuck with me. And he puts out a piece of video content 5 days a week. And every day is always the same. Like Tuesday, it's like Home Tip Tuesday, I believe what it is. And that's where I got the idea. It's Home Tip Tuesday. I was on a webinar, or I was talking to him like at a bar one night or something like that. And he was like, yeah, like every 3 months, I just say the same thing. He goes, there's only so many tips I can give when I talk about your yard, but then I say it in 4 different seasons and it's the same tip. Nobody remembers my tip about, hey, you got to water your yard in June from this year to next year. Nobody remembers that, right? Nobody's going to remember this video or this neighborhood 3 months from now, because guess what? You have a different set of followers and the quote unquote algorithm has changed. So what you do is you make this video, you change the title text on it. You keep the video the same. You change the title text on it 5 different ways. And then you use Metricool and you pre-schedule it. You do one now, you do one 4 to 6 weeks from now, one 4 to 6 weeks to now, one 4 to 6 weeks to now. And then before you know it, you've got 4 months of content scheduled. And all you did was take this one video. It's like, oh, I'm just going to change the checks, export. You can even have the caption, just change up a little bit of the caption, because you're going to have a different set of people looking at this in 4 months. You're going to have a different set of people looking at this in 2 weeks. So every video you do, you can turn into 5 videos and then you pre-schedule them. So what I'm doing working with her right now is I was like, and everybody on here, if you want to do more neighborhood content, identify the 10 neighborhoods your ideal client wants to live in. And I hear this all the time too. I want to elevate my price point. My first question is, what price point do you want to work in? And they're like, well, it's this price point. It's like, okay, what neighborhoods are people purchasing in for that price point? Well, it's these neighborhoods. I was like, go to those 10 neighborhoods, right? Here's what you do. And here's the last bit of the strategy, right? Go to those 10 neighborhoods. You're going to go take 1 day, drive to it, right? Take 5 5-second videos of that neighborhood. Go to the next neighborhood. Do the same thing. If you have a drone, even better. Drone footage is great. What I'm doing with her is we're having her videographer go collect B-roll drone footage just so she has some extra stuff, right? So she's going to spend one day and collect 5-second videos at 10 neighborhoods. She's going to have 50 B-roll videos. That is enough content for forever. Because if we make 5 videos for each neighborhood, that's 50 videos. And then we can make compilation videos of those neighborhoods. So then that goes up to about, I think I calculated out, we can get 75 videos. And what did I say, 12 per month? Right? That's 8-9 months worth of content from one day of collecting B-roll and then just sitting down at your computer and say, okay, let me just knock out some of these. All right. Now here's the other key. For every neighborhood, you're going to make a neighborhood profile for a lead magnet. Okay. This is a 1 to 2 page, everything you need to know about the neighborhood. Okay. Come up with a template, right? Canva's got some great templates. I typed in vacation guide into so I clicked flyer in Canva and I went to design. I typed in vacation guide and they have a bunch of great 1 to 2 page. They look amazing. And you just turn that into a neighborhood guide. That's your lead magnet, right? So for every video you put out, your lead magnet is comment whatever the neighborhood name is to get our exclusive neighborhood guide. You got people starting direct message conversations. They get on your email list. They're all becoming leads. And you do this one neighborhood at a time until you've got all the neighborhoods you want to work in. Then you package that together. Guess what you have now? Relocation guide, neighborhood insights guide, whatever you want to call it. People are always like, oh, how am I going to build this lead magnet? It's 1 to 2 pages at a time, one neighborhood at a time. Homes.com is spending $1 billion saying they know more about neighborhoods. What do you think we should do? We're not going to beat Zillow at the technology. We have all the listings game, but we can beat anybody out there at the neighborhood game because everybody on this call, we have more local knowledge about our neighborhoods than anybody else, right? If your neighbor asks you about a particular neighborhood that you work in, you're going to have a ton of information to share. That's the information we need to be sharing. And the last thing I'll say before we can just like open up to general questions, nobody gives a shit about the process of buying or selling a house. Nobody is entertained by that. Nobody gives a flying fuck about it. Pardon my French. What they care about, and I use this analogy all the time, I love sushi. I look at sushi porn on Instagram. I see people making the sushi, like a sushi taco and like a sushi tostada, like all that type of stuff. I really don't care about the chef. I don't want to see his knife collection. I don't want to see this is how he sources his tuna or how he slices it, because I just want to go eat at his restaurant because his food looks so good. The consumer does not want to sell their house. They have to sell their house. The only people that want to sell a house are investors who are flipping, right? Or you're upgrading, 1031ing into something else. The only people, all they want, where are they going to live? And that's houses and neighborhoods. What is there to do there? That's what they care about. They don't care about what escrow is. They don't care about what, hey, when you're at an inspection and you see like this water pipe thing, this is like, nobody cares. It's your job. They expect you to do your job. What your real job is show them what they want. And that's how you attract more eyeballs.
What questions we got? We only got a few minutes left, so this is one of the best presentations. Oh, this is a direct message to me. Sorry, I'll read it anyway. This is one of the best presentations I've seen all year. Very grateful for the invite. Thank you. That's from Abby.
Or say I either did a good job or a terrible job. So
yeah,
the other.
No, you did great. I screenshotted one of the things, the bio, and put that in there. Even for myself to change my bio, because we've talked about my bio a while ago. Go ahead,
yeah,
Rambo.
You haven't done anything. Come on.
I have, yeah. No, but this is better because then I can see it better.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, I was going to say, I write more notes today than most of the masterminds that I ever attend to. So thanks a lot.
No problem, Rambo.
Go ahead, Chase.
Hey, well, question for you. First, how could you be my coach? Just kidding. Second,
sure. I have 2 open slots.
Oh, cool. Second would be, at what point do you think an agent should maybe offload some of this work, right? So, like I'm pretty tech savvy. I have to leave in a second to meet my videographer, but like at what point should one consider once you've hit maybe a level of consistency and trust with your editor, offloading that?
So one, love your mustache. I miss my mustache every day. So yours is rocking. Two, Nelson, quiet. Sorry. You can let him out.
We can't hear him, by the way.
Okay. So two, offloading, right? I am really big on understanding exactly how to put all of this together yourself before offloading. And here's why. You have to be a director, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a director and understand how everything functions and works to know that if you offload this to a VA or videographer, probably a VA is going to be better than a videographer. Videographer is probably going to charge you too much money to compile this stuff. But if you know how to do it yourself and say, all right, when I do this, it takes me half an hour to make this one piece. It takes me an hour to make this type of piece. So when you offload that to a VA, you can give them a better set of instructions to where you know, hey, my time expectation for this is half an hour. My time expectation for this is an hour, right? I think once you get a good handle on that, that communication to the VA or the assistant, or honestly, like the 16-year-old you hire, I'm thinking about hiring my daughter who is 14 to be able to help me with some of my stuff, because I'm like, hey, I can teach her step by step because I understand how to do all the steps. Right. And when you can do that and communicate to whoever you offload this to, you're going to get a better end product, because what most people do is they try to offload this before they know how to create it themselves. And they get it back to like, I hate this. I don't like it. And it's because you gave them shitty advice. You gave them shitty directions. Right. So the win is different for everybody. Right. Once you've established, okay, this is my baseline content. I'm making 4 videos of this type, 4 videos of this type, and 4 videos of this type every single month. The assets I need to create these videos are, 1, the video content. So whether it's B-roll content or you're actually in it, right? 2, it's the on-screen text, which you're coming up with. The VA is not coming up with it. They just take your on-screen text and they put it on there. And then 3 is the caption, right? Once you start to build out, let's say 12, you do an entire month yourself, right? And you're like, all right, I know how much time, and be fanatical about how much time it took you to put it together from writing captions. Then you go to ChatGPT, you create a personalized GPT and say, here's the 12 videos I made. Here's the captions that I wrote, right? Here's the titles. Here's my, like all of the detail that I told you. I want you to, that's why I say, write everything down, write all of this detail down. Then you feed it as source information to the GPT, right? And then say, all right, I'm working on my content calendar for next month. My content buckets for this month are this neighborhood, this neighborhood, and this neighborhood. You know my styles, right? Come up with the 5 titles and 5 captions for this particular one, right? It's going to kick it out for you. Then the real work is just, okay, go into CapCut, go to my asset catalog. And what I tell my clients is start Dropbox or Google Drive, right? Collect all of your assets. Like, so say it's the 10 neighborhoods, right? Collect all your B-roll content for those assets, and they're always there. You never have to recollect it.
Yeah.
Right. Once you've collected it, it's already there, right? If you hire your videographer to go get drone stuff, like this is the perfect time of year to do it because it's summer, right? Most places look prettier in summer. Well, I don't know. It's hotter than hell around here and all the grass is dead. So maybe wait a month wherever you are. But once you collect all those assets, unless you're physically on camera, which all the content I showed you, is anybody on camera?
No.
No. Now some of the home tour stuff, you might have to do that more on the fly, but all this other, like the top of funnel content, right? Once you have all the assets, like you should be able to give it to your VA and they should be able to knock these out really quickly. But you have to learn to do it yourself first, so you know the time expectation so you don't get screwed. I was working with I just started coaching somebody like a month or 2 ago, and we were building out this content mechanism for her. And I was like, all right, let's look at costs. Like, what did you spend with your videographer last month? And she was like, I think she said like $1,400. I was like, okay, what all did they produce? She's like, this one video. I'm like, what? I was like, that one 60-second video that I told you was garbage. She's like, yeah. I was like, you're getting ripped off.
As somebody that's hired videographers and fired videographers, Terry, I see your question. We're going to go to you next. So I have to say, you need to put what Will is saying is very important. You need to put the content strategy in place and get it running on your own and then hire it out. You have to start doing it too, where you're making money, because I see a lot of agents that aren't making money and they just go, I need to hire a videographer because I don't know what to do. Well, if you don't start with a clear vision, you are not going to get clear results. And then you're going to be firing that person or not hiring the right person. So like with my videographer now, we have the YouTube videos that we do. We sat down and planned for an entire year of YouTube content. Now we know that there's going to be videos that do not do well. And I tell them, look, these videos, like these luxury tour videos, what we're doing right now, aren't going to do well. And that's fine. I'm spending like $800 on these videos that aren't doing well. And I'm doing that for a purpose, because over the next year, we are implementing more and more luxury content to start moving the channel in that direction. But that's okay. But if you start spending money on stuff that's not working and it doesn't have a clear vision, you are not going to go anywhere. I want to get to Terry's question.
I will. So using all the different technologies that we have, obviously I just got the Osmo Pocket, whatever the heck. What I'm finding is hard is when you get these little SDs and you got to try to upload it to my videographers and my editors. How do I get it to them without it taking 24 hours to upload it? Like, what are you using to convert it faster?
You can use
film
Dropbox,
on your phone and you Dropbox it. Use your phone.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
what equipment are you using? Are you using like the little mini? What do you?
Oh yeah, the little thing. I use that. I use my phone sometimes too, but you know, it's whatever's quickest at that moment. If I'm doing a neighborhood tour, though, I want it to have a clear, crisper image.
So what I'd recommend is going and either getting a Dropbox or you have Google Drive, I would imagine. Yeah. Yeah, Google Drive, Drive
takes forever.
Putting it in Google Drive might be your internet.
I
have no.
How big is
a couple
quick
minutes.
question? File size. How much are you trying to upload?
I just shoot the video. I don't know all that.
That's important because
if I'm in 4K 60 whatever and it's a 3-minute video, it's taking a lot of hours.
Are you doing any slow-mo?
No.
You don't need 4K 60 frames per second.
Okay.
Did you know television and movies shoot in either 4 or 8K at 24 frames per second? That will reduce your file size by 50%.
So just change it down to something a lot smaller than 60 and
go to 30 and it'll immensely reduce keep it at 4K, but go to 30 frames per second. If you're not doing any slow-mo content, you do not need 60 frames per second. Television and movies are at 24.
Okay.
If you're gonna do something in slow-mo, take the one quick clip and click the slow-mo button that goes 240 frames per second, right? And it's just a short clip. That's all you need. But in general, you go to 30, it'll reduce your file size, right? Okay. What kind of internet do you have?
I live in a rural area. It's shitty everywhere you go.
Okay. Well, that's part of the problem too, right? Like I have fiber, so I can upload like a gig a minute.
I was talking to a guy that came in last week to do some video, and he said to have a dedicated server. I'm like, I don't know what all that stuff is. Like,
you're not going to have a dedicated.
It's just,
I would shoot most of it with your phone, and then you should be able to do Google Drive and Dropbox. If you can get 5G somewhere on your phone, it'll upload fine and won't take 24 hours. You're collecting too much data, right? Dumb down the resolution a little bit. And shorter, like if you're doing a neighborhood tour, how long are you? Is this like a drive-through where you're talking or what?
If I'm doing a full house, then it takes me probably 2.5 minutes, depending on the size of the house.
Okay. Yeah. If you film at 30 frames per second, you should be fine there and you shouldn't have any upload issues. Yeah.
I'll try that. I definitely didn't know.
Cool. Well, that's we went well over an hour. Will, I appreciate your time. It's lunchtime on the East Coast. So do me a favor. I put the link down there. Make sure you sign up so you're in the email blast. So you're getting this. I don't spam about real broker stuff. I know people think that's what I do on this. My biggest thing that I love doing is helping agents. I've done everything under the sun, and doing these, I find the thing that I love most is when people text me that they got something out of it or they learned. So that's what this is all about. So the whole courses and everything, yeah, there's a Real Broker thing at the bottom if you're interested in it, but if not, I don't care. Come show up every week. We love you. Thank you for coming. Terry, good to see you. Will, thank you so much for coming. And my next video I'm shooting, this is a nod to Bill Olson. I've been saving every single one of the emails that I've gotten on all the deals that are out right now. And we're literally just going to do a Loom recording and open up every single one of the deals and show the communities. That's it. And it's just going to be me in front of my camera doing a Loom recording. So that's a nod to Bill Olson. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Oh, next week is going to be all YouTube with Malcolm Lawson. There you go. Malcolm Lawson. How could I forgot Malcolm? I have no idea. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week.